to Steele Some Time. Here's the USL's Kelsey Steele.
Hello and welcome to Steele Some Time. What a show we have for you all today. Kelsey, Steele, Scott, Stu, and our legendary producer Matt Calvo on the mic with you all today. It's championship final week. Stu, how are we feeling?
Excited, nervous, anxious. Yeah, a lot of things, right?
You're not playing?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm playing. Trust me, with at least one of the teams that's in the championship final. But it's I mean, it's going to be an incredible week, right? Like this is such a long build up, and in March feels like years ago. And I know we say this every week, but it's like to actually know that on Monday when I wake up, the season's over. Like a little bit of sadness, but also like, wow, what a long season. And a lot of reports floating around out there about when the next season might launch. So it's just like I'm just going to relish Sunday for everything that it has to offer.
Selfishly, I know we're all excited because we get to be on site to work the final on Sunday, which of course will be at Alling Stadium in St. Petersburg, Florida, not Tampa, as some may get confused. It is St. Petersburg, Florida. So I am looking forward to seeing all of your faces in person for the first time for a lot of us in, 4 or 5 months. So I think, we're excited to see some action, but of course to see our coworkers for the first time in a long time. So
it's crazy.
We've got a lot to fill in today's episode, to put it briefly. So things are going to get reworked a little bit, but we'll recap the conference finals as per normal and preview the championship final. But we're bringing some firepower to the pod this week. Zack Steinberger is going to be joining us from the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Darnell King from Phoenix Rising is going to be on the pod as well. We'll hear from both of them shortly. But first, why don't you say we just get into it, Scott? Eastern and Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, intense. Both very, very intense. And I'm sure a lot to say on both sides.
All right, so the Tampa Bay Rowdies earned their first ever Eastern Conference title. Zack Steinberger flicks on the early goal in the 3rd minute to give the Rowdies that quick lead. He's going to be on a little later to talk about that moment. But the Rowdies take this one 2-1 over Lou City. So, Scott, from your point of view, how big was that Tampa Bay strike first? Do you think that was the difference maker?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, right? Like it's one of those things where, I was watching Louisville City captain Paolo Piccolo's post-match interview, and he just said, we conceded a goal at 2 of the exact worst times, right? At the very beginning of a game and right before halftime. And that's damaging, right? And I don't think it's as damaging to the psyche of Louisville as much as it is just generally their progress in the game, right? Like it is a mental thing, and it is sort of something that you have to continue to work through as you're trying to get your way back in the game. But like, man alive, for Rowdies to come out and it only takes 3 minutes for them to land the first punch, like that's hugely significant in their ability to get the game done. So I think it's one of those things where the Rowdies knew that they needed to come out strong, and they knew that they needed to hold Louisville, obviously, on their own chances, and they did both of those things, right? But I think that conceding early and then conceding late into the half, though Louisville did well to score early in the second half and create an opportunity for themselves, I just don't think that it was going to be enough. And you know that when you get in that locker room at halftime, if you're the Rowdies, you're saying there's absolutely no way we're going to let a 2-goal lead slip. There's no way we can let Louisville claw their way back in the game. What I would be interested, I'm much more interested in hearing what that locker room would say 4 minutes into the second half when they let in the first goal and gave Louisville an opportunity to step back in the door. But the way that they held it through to take a 2-goal lead in the halftime, I mean, obviously, like it's very easy to sit here and say, well, that was the difference. It was only 2-1. So like, that's easy to say. But mentality-wise, right, I think there's so much of it that goes into the mentality of, hey, we scored early, we scored late, now we just need to defend these 45 minutes, and the Rowdies got that done.
Well, and I believe it was something like 16 games that Louisville City had scored first in their last 16. That is an insane number. And I think if you're Tampa Bay going on the road, playing at Lynn Family Stadium, you have to look at that number and think, if we strike first, that changes the game completely. And I think it did. I think that's exactly what Tampa Bay needed. And they were going in with confidence. There's no question. You saw every single presser come from Neil Collins heading into that game. He would have taken his team every single day of the week over Louisville. Yeah. There's no question there. But I think having that strike first was exactly what the team needed to kind of get over that it's Louisville City in the postseason hump. And here they are in the USL Championship Final.
And it's so crazy that, like, we talk about, like, they are such a game-to-game team, the Rowdies are. But for Neil, like, I was speaking to him earlier this week, and it's just very interesting, like, to hear from his players and to hear from their side that they are so game by game, right? They are so, like, doesn't matter who's in front of us. Like, we heard the Charleston quote, I think is always going to stick in my head. Like, we don't care if it's Charleston. We don't care if it's Louisville. We don't care who we're playing. The goal is to get better week by week. And so going into Louisville, it's interesting that their mentality was, this could be Louisville, this could be Indy, this could be anybody. We're not really interested in who we're playing. We're interested in our game. And I think that's a testament to why they're in the championship final this weekend.
Heck of a mentality. But on the other side of the bracket, Phoenix Rising advanced over El Paso Locomotive. And yet again, another PK shootout, 4-2. That one went. Jordan Schweitzer sealed the first goal of the night for Phoenix Rising. And it was a doozy. Schweitzer, Moar, Dadashov, all additions to the 2020 attack here for Phoenix Rising this season. Scott, how big of a role do you think those three have played in the success of the club this season? Because you're talking about bringing in three really talented guys, but on top of that, Phoenix lost a few key players, so they knew coming into it there were some roles to be filled, and it feels like these three guys have really done that.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is, and we've heard Phoenix Rising head coach Rick Shantz say this multiple times, Santi Moar was priority number one.
Yeah.
They literally, the first day of the offseason, they went in and they said, that guy, we want that guy for sure. Jordan Schweitzer has done incredible things for Colorado Springs, so obviously adding a player of his caliber. And then Phoenix, we've seen the rotations of the number nines, right? Like, we've seen Cortez. We've obviously seen Adam John do incredible things. They knew they needed to replace their number nine. And so Rufat Dadashov comes in from one of the German leagues and has obviously been a huge addition. For me, though, it's less of, like, how big their role is and more of how perfectly they fit their role. Right? Like, not every player you bring in is going to play this, like, massive part in your side. Now, granted, we just named three players who do play a massive part in the Phoenix side, so I get where we're coming from. But I think that each player has been very tailor-made for their role, and I think that's hugely significant for Phoenix. Schweitzer's goal on Saturday night proves exactly why you don't want a player of that caliber to be able to step into space and take a shot like that, because granted, it was obviously bar down, so it's a game of inches sometimes, but, like, you let a man with that ability hit the ball that sweetly, and that's what happens at the end of the day, right? Dadashov stepped up and was successful again. We saw him successful in the penalty shootout against Reno. He was successful again against El Paso. And obviously, man alive, I mean, I could take 5 hours to talk about Santi Moar and what he brings to any team in this league. But all three special players and all three very, very fitting the role in Phoenix that Rick Shantz has given them extremely well.
I think it's interesting, too, because I'm not sure how many people realize this, but when Santi Moar came to Phoenix Rising at the beginning of the season, he said, I'm coming to this club and I'm bringing a championship to this club. He's one game away from doing that now. And we could possibly see that come to fruition on Sunday. Yeah,
100%. And Moar was somebody who – he's had such an interesting career, right? Like, he played really, really well for the former Bethlehem Steel FC, now Philadelphia Union 2. They cut him loose. He goes to New Mexico. He has an incredible season in New Mexico. Like, literally.
Beloved by the people over there also.
Oh, 100%, right? Like, just as much on the field as off the field. But I'll be selfish in saying that off the field, yeah, that's important. But I watch them on Saturday night. I don't interact with them on Sunday through Friday, right? So I love seeing Moar just really shine in New Mexico, and then he steps into this role in Phoenix and, like, obviously switches colors, goes to, you know, a little bit west, but yeah, I think that he is part of something very, very special in Phoenix, and he is a special player, and I think we'll see that on Sunday.
I want to stick with the Western Conference here for our first buy or sell question of the day, because El Paso and Mark Lowry, it's a very very special duo we have there. And I think that's something that we're going to see continue to grow in El Paso, and that relationship and what Mark Lowry's building there. It's unfortunate they lose their second straight Western Conference final in the 2 seasons, of being created, of living here in the USL Championship. But they were missing a key piece to that puzzle on Saturday in forward Omar Salgado. So I'm curious from your perspective, Scott, would you buy or sell that this result on Saturday would have been different if Omar had been healthy and in that lineup?
That's a great question, Kelsey. I mean, I think I'm going to buy it only because I recognize who Salgado is and how important he is to that team. And that's not to take away from anybody who was on the field in El Paso. It's more just that I think Salgado could have helped them finish a couple of chances right in front of goal, right? And man, we got to extra time, and you could just tell, like El Paso and Phoenix to a degree, but El Paso especially was just, for as well conditioned as they are, they were struggling, right? Mm-hmm. They were struggling hard to keep up with the strain and the mental fortitude that it takes to go the distance. And we've talked about El Paso. They've gone the distance pretty much every game to this point, and we knew that eventually it would catch up with them. They did so well to get to penalties. They did so well to get to that point. When Mares hit the bar at the end of the game, though, I literally thought to myself, I don't really know if it makes a difference who's on the field at this point. Like, that might have been El Paso's last shot. And it turns out it wasn't. I was wrong. But I do think Salgado is that significant to them that I genuinely believe that we could be seeing a Rowdies El Paso final if Omar's in the lineup. That also makes me feel bad for placing that much pressure on one player, though, you know?
He is that guy for El Paso, though. Like, not only for what he brings on the field, but in the locker room as well. Like, no matter what, it's different when you're not in the 18, you know? Like, it's a different type of leadership. And I think when you have a healthy Omar Salgado playing, he's effective on the field and he's effective in the locker room. And he's just an overall leader in return, a massive difference maker for El Paso.
100%.
The Eastern Conference Final, on the other hand, was a meeting of arguably the 2 best teams in the East. I don't think there's much debate about that. You and I have both collectively agreed that we do believe that the 2 best teams were meeting in the East at the end of the season. But with it, you have 2 rosters who pose a lot of similarities in terms of depth, right? And 2 coaches who deal with very similar issues week in and week out of creating that starting 11 each week. So my question for you, Scott, is are you going to buy or sell that this Eastern Conference Final was a showcase of the 2 deepest rosters in the entire USL Championship?
My brain's doing a scan real quick of the 36 teams.
You're talking about Tampa Bay Rowdies and Louisville City FC. I think that Phoenix has always had a pretty deep roster. The last 3 years, I think you can definitely argue that.
Yeah, San Antonio, New Mexico, a couple teams with some deep rosters. Pittsburgh doesn't always get the credit they deserve for having that deep of a roster, but they do have a lot of impact players. I would still say yes, though, right? Like, none of those teams that I mentioned are like head and shoulders above either Louisville or Tampa Bay. Yeah, I think you have absolute killers on both sides, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, I would hate to be both John Hackworth and Neil Collins every week. Talk about a selection headache, like fitting the pieces of the puzzle perfectly every single week with the amount of talent you have on your roster. Not an easy proposition for either guy. So, yeah, I mean, I would buy that for sure. And I think we saw it a little bit on Saturday, right? Like, less on Tampa Bay's side because when you have a game plan and it's working, you don't want to make too many changes. But, like, who John Hackworth was able to bring on really added some more firepower to his side. And, of course, job not able to be done. You understand sometimes it's not your night. But yeah, absolutely. I think we saw 2 of the deepest teams, and I think maybe the deeper team didn't go through, but the more effective team absolutely did.
Zack Steinberger is going to touch on the depth of that Tampa Bay roster here, later in this in the show today. But lastly, I got one more buy or sell for you, Scott. Tampa Bay's made it through the entire postseason without extra time. They've been able to get the job done this postseason. But on the other hand, Phoenix has gone to a PK shootout in the last 2 rounds 3 rounds of extra time. You're going to buy or sell that the 2020 USL Championship Final will go to extra time. You don't need to give me your winners.
Here. Yeah, you're putting me on the spot, though, because that means I got to think about it.
Just extra time.
I think we might, right? I'm actually going to buy this one, and I think that, I'd be happy to be wrong for many, many reasons. But I do think that it's certainly possible. You've got a Phoenix side who will do absolutely anything to get the job done. You've got a Tampa Bay side who is proud to be at home, proud to have an opportunity to play at Al Lang Stadium. Obviously, want to show that they deserve to be in the championship final. I'll buy it because I think that both of those sides might be too stubborn to go for the throat early enough for them to be effective. So yeah, I'll buy it. I'll buy it just for fun. I'll buy it.
All right, well, there you have it. The scene is set for the USL Championship Final. Tampa Bay Rowdies, Phoenix Rising FC advancing to the big show on Sunday. That's a wrap for our conference finals recap. So let's get to our first guest of the day, shall we? Phoenix Rising defender Darnell King's going to join Steele sometime to talk about the season, the challenges, and, of course, that big meeting on Sunday on ESPN. So we're going to take a quick break, but when we return, Darnell King's going to join the pod. Phoenix Rising defender Darnell King joins Steele sometime now. And Darnell, we are so excited to have you. And first and foremost, congratulations on winning that Western Conference final last Saturday.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was a long game, but, we battled and got the W. So it was really good for us. We're happy to be going on to the USL Championship and happy to be Western Conference champs. So like we said, we got one more game. So.
A huge win, and you talk about that one going late as well. You guys have been no strangers to extra time this postseason. Describe that emotion of that moment when you guys clinched that spot in the championship final.
It was surreal for me. I've my pro career, I've been in one other final, and that was with my 2014 NASL championship against San Antonio when I played for the Strikers. So for me, it was surreal. Just to one, have it at our home, our fans to be there celebrating with us, but just in the fashion that it happened, it was so we've been battling through a lot this whole year, and for that to happen in that moment where, Zack makes a big save, we score our PKs, and then, unfortunate for the guy to miss, it was great. It was a great feeling. I think everybody should maybe once in their lifetime get an experience like that, whether it's in football or whatever it is. It was great.
That's awesome. Darnell, obviously echoing Kelsey's congratulations. Another major achievement for the club and for you as well, another trophy in the cabinet. But looking back at the Western Conference Final, you already mentioned his name. Let's talk about Zack. How big was the big guy in goal throughout the entirety of the penalty shootout? He's still holding a clean record. What was it like to have his presence there, and what was the mentality going into it?
Oh, I tell you what, Zack's a big leader in our locker room. He's a great guy, and kudos to him because, the Reno game, we had a slip up, but he never lost his head when that mistake happened early. He kept his head and stayed positive. So just through these last couple games, he's just been on fire. I mean, just in the run of play too, he saved us multiple times this last game. I think Gomez had 3 chances and he came up big every time. And then on top of that, to go into the PKs, and you can just feel his presence, how confident he is when we're stepping up to him. He just sits there and tells us, "I got you guys. Don't worry, I got you guys." And when you have a guy behind you that can say that, you feel very confident, and he kind of takes the pressure off the kickers, in a sense. So it was great that he can get those saves and put us where we are today.
I'm sure you guys are hoping that form continues this Sunday. And speaking of this Sunday, Tampa Bay, it's a place that you are super familiar with as a Tampa native. Spent a season with the Rowdies not too long ago, a few seasons. Will there be some sort of nostalgia when you head back to Al Lang Stadium?
For me, it's a final is something doesn't come often. So, the fact that I'm going there back to my old stomping ground, the place that I played for 3 years, yeah, probably. I mean, I think, for me personally, to have all my family and friends maybe be able to attend the game will be big. But it's just I don't know. It's something I haven't stopped thinking about since I found out that they made it to the finals. And after that last kick for us, I don't know, so many emotions and things have been running through my head, but I'm just trying to stay neutral and very focused on the game. I have I don't know, words can't really describe the feeling that I'm having for this game. I'm just very hyped, and I'm just ready to go there and battle, and unfortunately for them, beat them. So
That's good. That's good.
yeah.
What about returning home? What's it mean to be able to go back and play in the city that you sort of got your game started in? Does that add any significance for you for this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great feeling to go back where it all started. Started at the YMCA in Northdale and worked my way into club and, with Blackwatch and Hillsbury United and Players Club. And it just all worked up through Gaither. And, just to go back and play in front of, people who may know who I am, it's a big one for me. You couldn't have really written a better script for me personally to play for this club for 3 years, go your separate ways, and then be able to play against them in the final, 3 years later. So it's a big one. I'm excited. My family's very excited. I'm very far from them, so it's hard to, see them. So to be able to come here and play in front of them, it's a big one, and I'm very excited for it.
Darnell, do you feel like there's a sense of relief now that you're, days away from wrapping up the season, or do you kind of want to hold off on answering that until after the game this weekend?
I'm going to hold off on that one because, like I said, there's one more game to play, and like you obviously go through the season battling to try and get to a championship, and the games that we've played, and obviously that everything that we've all went through as a world, and it's been crazy. So, the fact that you have players in this league, every team, even ours, speaking on mine alone, that can keep their head and, go through all these challenges, which is something brand new to all of us, and still come out and make it to a championship means a lot to me. It speaks volumes of our team. And I'm gonna let this one ride until after this game, because after this game, we win the trophy, then it'll be a relief. So.
Respectfully so.
Respectfully so.
And then we got to ask, man, because obviously going into the game, we all know experts have their say, media has their say, everybody's got an opinion. 538.com gave the Rowdies the slight edge in terms of being a favorite percentage-wise. But you already said it. You said it a couple times now. Why is instead Rising FC going to be the team that's lifting the championship trophy at the end of the night?
I would say just because of – I just keep going back to what this specific team has been through and how we've managed to keep our heads and battle to get to this point. We've had so many things kind of go against us, and we've kind of used it to fuel us. And, I think this year, and, I don't know what the Rowdies think, but I know for us, this is something that will fuel us to push us to do everything we can to win this championship. It'll be the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, So it's been a crazy year, and I think our guys are ready to finish strong as we can. So.
You guys have truly persevered, and through that entire, challenge after challenge, this entire 2020 season, there's been a group that's been with you guys that entire way, and that's that group of Rising fans. What would be your message to them, having been through one of the most challenging seasons of your career in the franchise and the USL Championship in history?
The message I would say to them is thank you, and we love you, because without you guys, it would be, very hard for us to do what we've done. They've been supporting us day in and day out here, and it's all their passion and love for the game that drives us, And I think the word that you said is like persevere. It's not only us persevering, it's also the people behind us that help us persevere, and they persevered themselves because everybody went through this crazy year. It wasn't just us, and to have fans that will continually back us through such hard times is amazing. So we love our fans, and thank you guys so much for backing us. We're going to do everything in our power to win this big one for you guys.
Over in Phoenix Rising, the fans are just an extension of the club, without a doubt. Darnell King, thank you for joining us. Best of luck this Sunday.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for having me, and hope to see you guys soon. Stay safe, please.
We're back in the Steele sometime. Big thank you to Darnell King for joining the show today. Scott, do you feel like we had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder there with Darnell King returning back to the Rowdies?
It sounded like the Tampa native certainly had some feelings about returning to Tampa. I think that's probably the best part.
I love that.
Yeah, for sure. And I will say, respect the confidence too.
Yeah.
He was very clear cut in like, hey, we believe in ourselves and we're going to do this. And you're going to see us lifting the trophy on Sunday night. And I think there's a really important distinction between confidence and arrogance, right? Like, I genuinely didn't get the tone that he was like, yeah, like, forget them. We don't respect them. Like, we're just going to do this. It was much more just like, yeah, we know who we believe in, and it's us. So we'll see you on Sunday. I said, sounds good, man. I can't wait to see you on Sunday. This is going to be a great game.
Oh, it's gonna be such a good one. Let's get into a few moments across social media this week, Scott, because where there has been a ton of hype around the USL Championship Final, there was one big piece of news dropped on Tuesday that may have shocked a few people across the USL Championship sphere, and that'd be Luke Spencer announcing his retirement from Louisville City FC in the game. Of course, you're somebody who got to know Luke Spencer well, of course. Getting to work for Louisville City FC and being involved in this league for a few years. Do you have a favorite Luke Spencer memory or moment that you can call on? Okay.
100%. 2018 USL Championship Final. Luke Spencer, just after the hour mark, scoring the lone goal in the championship final to allow Louisville to win its second straight. I mean, I was on staff at Louisville at that time. And listen, first off, like, congrats to Luke on an incredible career. He's had an eye on, and I don't know if I'll let him make any announcements on the next steps, but he's had an eye on being involved in the beautiful game in a different sphere for a while, right? And he's such an intelligent guy. It's hard to think that he's literally my age. He's like 26, 27. But I mean, just seeing the career progression that he's had, learning from coaches at Xavier, obviously learning from James O'Connor, learning from John Hackworth, the injuries that he's gone through. I mean, Luke has had a very resilient career, and I know that that's a word that we've used frequently on this podcast already. But Luke is an incredible guy, and he deserves everything. But seeing him, and I think we just got to say it and be candid about it, Luke largely played second fiddle to Cameron Lancaster in the entirety of 2018, right? Like, Cam was the one breaking records. Cam was the one scoring all the incredible goals. Cam was the number 9. He was the guy of choice that year. And the camaraderie that the forwards had, they had so much respect for each other that there were no egos there. They weren't feeding off ego energy. So just to see Luke grow into that space, and then Cam misses the final due to injury, and Luke comes in and gets the job done, I couldn't be happier for anybody. And, what I said earlier, what an incredible guy. He deserves the world. He's had a great success in Louisville and throughout his soccer career, so we wish him all the best.
I think Matt Calvo can attest to this, that some of the best photography you will ever see from this league features Luke Spencer.
Really, that's my big sadness for it. No disrespect to Luke himself, but no, that was...
Something tells me that he won't be going too far away from that soccer scene in Louisville. So best of luck to him in the next chapter. And we truly are appreciative of everything that he brought and all the memories he gave to the USL fans over the years. Elsewhere across the USL scene, we've announced the broadcast talent for the USL Championship Final. 2 obviously very familiar faces, and Mike Watts and Devin Kerr, who are once again going to bring the heat for that final. 2 of the most, if not the most knowledgeable guys on the mic for a USL Championship game. They continue to outdo themselves every year. They called both games this past weekend. They're ready for this matchup. I'm truly looking forward to listening to that call. They'll be adding, though, NWSL star and now U.S. Women's National Team defender Sarah Gordon as a sideline reporter as well. So kind of opening up that the audience possibly this weekend, bringing in some of her fans as well, but having her expertise and, soccer knowledge on the sideline, as well as that she was a journalism major at DePaul. So, she's got that background. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what she brings to that team this weekend.
100%. Yeah, we've got 2 of the best in the business in Mike Watts and Devin Kerr out there. But I'm excited to have Sarah part of it. Like, what an incredible addition. We don't get this sort of perspective very often. And obviously to have somebody who equals and maybe even exceeds Mike and Devin, considering her caliber of playing career in terms of what she brings to the table. Yeah, we're thrilled. It's going to be an incredible broadcast. It's going to be an incredible team. I'm jealous a little bit that I'll be at Al Lang and won't get to hear them on the mic, but rest assured, when the ESPN Plus rewatch becomes available, I got to do something between now and in the off season, so I might as well just get in a few rewatches.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's not act like you're not going to be rewatching that game by Wednesday of next week.
Over and over and over and over again. Yeah, because, and I think part of that is the game, part of that is the broadcast team, but part of it's just the occasion. You got to love being here.
Gotta love it. Let's get into it then, shall we? USL Championship Final. First order of business here, Scott. I want to go back to 2018 because back in May of 2018, Neil Collins had transitioned from a player to a coach, which is something that you just don't see in professional sports in an instant. And a few months later, the club missed qualifying for the 2018 playoffs altogether. A lot of people, I think, will recall that there was a very high level of disappointment in that club. I think across the league, felt like the Tampa Bay Rowdies had really not performed to the level when you look at the talent that they had on their roster that year. So in October, Neil Collins penned an open letter to all of his fans. And you can still find that today on the USL Championship website if you're interested in it. But in that letter, he promised to build a squad that the Tampa Bay fan base would be proud of. And he said, I quote, "It is now my job to ensure that we have a team worthy of this great club playing out on our fantastic field at Al Lang in the green and gold." So it's funny, Scott, how time works. You have to think that Neil was probably his harshest critic that year and knew if he had the time, he could create something special and fantastic in Tampa Bay. And he's done that now. What do you think if you're near Neil Collins and you look back at that progression over the past 2 years? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, crazy, right? I mean, you hit the nail on the head. We don't see this transition frequently. So it's certainly a special case. I feel like Neil, though, he's in such a unique position because he played for the club before he took this role. So he knew what it meant to embody the Rowdy spirit, right? He knew what it meant to the Tampa Bay area, that this team is good, that this team is performing at a high level, and that this team is fighting for trophies. And probably more than anything, what I respect Neil for is his just genuine work ethic. There's nothing the guy won't do to help his team out. I'm literally standing at Al Lang earlier today, going over media procedures for Sunday's final, watching Neil Collins move goalposts after training is done, because there's just nothing this guy won't do, right? And I feel like that's something that he instills in his locker room is, listen, if you're with me and you're here, there's nothing you can't be willing to do, because whatever it is that I ask of you, you got to trust that it's going to be something that needs to get done. And we've heard many players, current and former, with Neil just talk about how he's just brought a mentality of strength, right? He's a true Scotsman. He's a hard worker. He gets the game. He reads the game so well. But I feel like Neil is also very much a player's coach, because he is obviously and had such a fantastic playing career. He just gets what it means in the DNA of being a player, and so he can cater to that very well. So, yeah, I think we've seen a lot of things shift in Tampa Bay, but more than anything, Neil's brought a little more elbow grease. He's probably brought a little more accent, and he's certainly instilled a mentality of hard work there.
What do you think is more important for Neil Collins' side this weekend? Is it their back line staying disciplined like we saw against a Lou City side this weekend and containing that dangerous Phoenix attack, or going on the offensive out of the gate like we also saw in Louisville?
Yeah, that's tough, right? Because I would actually I would stay in the middle of both those.
Of course
right?
you would. Such a PR answer, Scott Steele.
But hear me out here. So I think it's really, really, really important that we know the Rowdies play a 3-back system. And so when Solo's flying down the wing, when Dado Shop's being played in behind, you've got so many weapons in Phoenix that midfield has to be ready to transition back. So I think it's going to be a very calculated approach to the Rowdies. If the ball's on the upper right-hand side and you're in possession, your midfielders in that area who are not helping the on-ball attack, need to be ready to transition to the back line. They need to be ready for a Phoenix counterattack. We know how quickly Phoenix can move off the ball and then on the ball. And the Rowdies just can't afford to have anything like that happen on Sunday night. So I would probably say more defensively than offensively, because I think you have so many playmakers up top for the Rowdies. You got Seba, your captain. You've obviously got Juan Tejada, who's an incredible player, an incredible young player. You've got Lucky Kosana, who's had success in the postseason already. You got guys who can put the ball in the back of the net. Leo Fernandez, another one, obviously. All of those players need to be ready to do their defensive duty, even though they're at the top of the field, though. So I'll give you the not PR answer, and I'll say defensively is what I'll stick with. They've obviously got somebody in Forrest Lasso who commands the back line very, very well. But my big thing is you want to prevent your goalkeeper, Evan Loro, from even having to make a save. So that means rushing to the ball. That means cutting off attacks. Phoenix gets shots on target, they're going to be more likely to score. So it's got to be closing out quickly, and I think that's how you truly get the job done.
Make Evan not have to be involved.
Correct.
As much as I'm sure he would like to be. I think when you look at these two teams in recent years, though, Phoenix has the experience of these high pressure moments. They will. I think that'll be their leg up for sure, is that they're used to being in these exact moments. Yeah. But what do you think the number one key is here for Phoenix to raise the trophy by the end of the day?
Yeah, counter before the Rowdies can get back in position for sure. Like, they've got to recognize those moments where it's like, and Phoenix isn't a super long ball team. They're not always constantly chipping up over the back of the defense, and they probably know that going into this weekend, they won't have that much success doing that. You've got Aaron Guillen, you've got Forrest Lasso. You're just not going to have that much success trying to launch 5'5" Solomon Asante, a ball over the head of like 6'2" Forrest Lasso, right? 6'2" might be generous. Forrest, if it is, you're welcome. But you're going to have to play intricately, but that means you're going to have to find, I think the key for Phoenix in my mind is find the pass and find it quickly. So that means if Corey Whalen has the ball, he's got to get it to midfield. Santi Moar, if he has space to run into, he's got to take it. If he doesn't, he's got to find Solo. Like, you've just got to be switched on all the time, because I do think that the Rowdies, for as incredible as they are, you catch one player out of position, and Phoenix has the ability to act that quickly. So I think they need to be able to recognize, and I know they will because we know how dangerous they are, they need to be able to recognize when those moments come and when they can get in behind, because I have a lot of respect for that Rowdies back line, but they're not catching Solomon Asante. They're not catching Santi Moar when they get to the byline. So Phoenix gets in behind, I think it's game over. We saw it a couple times in Reno, though, and even once in El Paso. Phoenix got to finish. They got to finish. And I think they might have more of a weight finishing against someone like Evan Loro based on the occasion, but they've got to be able to put the ball in the back of the net. And we didn't see it a couple times in El Paso, and even once or twice in Reno. So it's got to be a case of be clinical, be efficient, be effective, and know when that time comes.
Easy transition then here, Scott. Are they going to finish the job on Sunday? What's your final score prediction?
Yeah, that hurts a lot, because that means I've got to actively go.
Feel better. I have already changed my prediction.
Have you?
I did.
Who are you going with then? Before I answer, just so I know.
guess the public knows. I had Phoenix in my initial gut pick, and then when I started thinking more and starting to really overanalyze some things, I turned the page and I went with Tampa Bay.
Wow, that is significant. I will say,
coaching played a huge factor for me in this decision, and I have a lot of confidence in Neil Collins.
That's crazy. No, that's good. That's good.
I know. There's no clear front runner. There really isn't. And I think that's why it was so difficult, because I felt like I could justify either decision. Do you need to take a lap?
I do. I'm just thinking so hard about it, right?
I know, that was my issue.
I get way too analytical about it. I think My gut tells me Phoenix. My kind of like you. My gut tells me Phoenix. My gut tells me that Solomon Asante, Rufat Dadashav, Santi Moar, Kevon Lambert, too much to handle. The way that Zach Lubin's playing in the back, Corey Whalen, they've got so much leadership experience there. Something tells me that it's going to be too much. But that little inch in me says the Rowdies are at home. They are keenly aware of their position. And although the media and the experts are kind of going with the Rowdies, I do feel like the Rowdies are kind of like, we still feel a little bit like we're not the favorite right now.
Yeah, I am actually fairly surprised that so many are leaning towards the Rowdies. I don't get that.
I don't either. Especially since we've seen so many people go against Phoenix over the last few rounds, and then they still like find their way through. No, to answer your question though, 2-1 Phoenix. Lubin comes up big a couple times. The Rowdies put in an incredible performance, but Phoenix ends up having too much.
All right, you could go like the was it the USL show and pick 'em that had the Rowdies winning, but picked Solomon Asante as having the game-winning goal.
Yeah, that doesn't add up.
Not how we do things around here.
I mean, it could be an own goal.
Like one, actually that might be a smart play.
Solo gets an own goal for the Rowdies to win. That would be an interesting end to that game.
I would like to see that own goal. I'll say that. Because I would be very interested how that came about, that Solomon Asante was in front of his own goal and somehow deflected it into his own net.
Yeah, it kind of hurt my head when I saw that. But
a lot of possibilities going on.
Well, I'll tell you who will have something to say about your prediction, Scott, and that's Zack Steinberger. He's going to give us more insight into this meeting on Sunday and that monumental goal in the Eastern Conference Final. So Zack Steinberger is going to hop on to the show. Don't go anywhere. When we return, the Tampa Bay Rowdies midfielder will give us a glimpse into why this club is so dangerous. Tampa Bay Rowdies midfielder Zack Steinberger joins us now. First and foremost, Zack, congratulations on advancing to the USL Championship Final.
Thank you very much.
How does it feel to be a part of one of the final two teams remaining this season?
Oh, I mean, it's incredible. This season is definitely something that I will not ever soon forget, for so many reasons. But, we're just so grateful to be in the position that we're in right now.
Zach, obviously it's a pleasure to have you on. I believe a first Steal Some Time appearance for you. Certainly not your first in a USL Championship playoff game, but Eastern Conference Final. You're in Louisville. You're at Lynn Family Stadium, new venue. They've got fans in there. It's obviously an intense environment to walk into. You decide after 3 minutes you've heard enough of the crowd. You get a little flick on. You guys take the lead. In the lead up to that goal, what are you thinking? What do you think? Are you thinking, hey, I've got to make a run, I've got to into a box, I've got to make a play? What's going through your head?
Oh, gosh, that's probably nothing really. 3 or 4 minutes into the game, you're really just getting settled in at that point. Just trying to get myself in a good position to, make a play happen. And Leo put in a great ball, and, I anticipated it and, was able to beat the defender to the spot and kind of just able to put it on target. And we went up 1-0 in 4 minutes, which, was a dream start to that game.
First goal of that game, 3 minutes in. What was that feeling like for you, truly?
Honestly, disbelief. I think it was we went in, and it was just, complete and utter disbelief. We were so excited, obviously, to have started the game off away from home with a decent amount of momentum. I think it changed the entire landscape of the first half for sure. So, just disbelief.
I mean, you could see the pure reaction in your face. I mean, it'll go down in history this past weekend for the Rowdies franchise, first ever Eastern Conference title, knocking off the favorite in Louisville City. Did you guys ever find yourselves feeding off of that underdog label at all?
I don't think so, no. I mean, we have complete belief in what we are as a team. And, we don't really focus on anything else besides what we want to achieve on the field. We try and stay focused, and we have stayed focused throughout the entire season on what we want to do. We want to get a little bit better every day. And on the weekend, we just really focus on putting in a good performance. And we know that, if we can do that, we'll be able to look at ourselves and look at each other in the locker room after 90 minutes and be proud of what we did.
And obviously this is the first time that you guys are going to a championship final, but there's been a lot of talk about the Rowdies teams of the last 2-3 years, right? And always super talented, always a lot of potential, but never quite seeming to get over that hump, make that breakthrough, get to the final game of the season. When the stakes are highest, why do you think that this group was able to sort of rewrite that narrative this year especially?
Honestly, I attribute it a lot to this locker room. I've been a part of a handful of successful teams in my career, and for whatever reason, the most successful ones are always the best locker rooms. So for me, seeing that happening again with us this year is a true testament to the locker room that the staff here has put together. Every single person, whether they're playing 90 minutes every week or in and out of the lineup, much like I was throughout the season, have been an incredible impact on this team. And so when you have a team like that, where not just the guys who are playing 90 minutes every week, but the guys who are training, pushing everyone else, that is a huge, huge advantage to have. And so for us, that's been our strength. Our strength has been in our numbers all season, because we're so competitive throughout the week that when we get to the weekend, we're more than prepared, because our training sessions and our desire from every single person in that locker room is at the level or more so than what we will face on the weekend.
I love that you say that, Zach, because Neil Collins has been so vocal about not just the quality, but the quantity of talent that you guys have in this group. And he's said it time and time again that he has such a difficult job of picking that starting 11 each week, that it could truly go so many different ways, and so many guys can play so many different roles day in and day out. Do you think that's played into the success of your group, the fact that anyone can be called on at any time?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's so true. I don't envy, Neil's job this year. We've got such a talented group of players, and there are players in this team that would be massive parts of every many other teams in the league, but it's we're so competitive, and what I'm really impressed with, though, isn't the fact that we've got an incredible group of talented players, but it's the character of those players that maybe aren't necessarily as happy as they would be with their playing time, but they come in every week. And I was left off the 18 for, good amount of handful of games this year. And, you just go in and you know that because we're so deep and because we've got so much character that, when you get called upon, that's your opportunity. And every single person has embodied that ideology, that philosophy, that mentality, which I think has really made us it's really galvanized us as a locker room.
And so you're going into Sunday, right? There's a lot to think about. And obviously you're going to have the expert picking. You're going to have the media picking. They're going to take sides. We already saw 538 tipped you guys as slight favorites percentage-wise. We just talked about quality. We just talked about the overall talent. We've talked about locker room, character of players. But I want to hear from you, why would the Rowdies be lifting the USL Championship trophy on Sunday, November 1, after an incredible 90 or 120 or, God forbid, the entire distance? Why are you picking yourselves this year?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really one to pick myself or pick our team. I don't really focus on that. And honestly, no one in our locker room really focuses on that either. Our primary focus every single week at the start of the week is to get a little bit better. And then when we go into the weekend, our primary focus is just to put in a good performance. If we try and focus on anything more than that, I feel like the mentality, the mindset gets a little lost. So we like to keep our focus very narrow and very continuous throughout the entirety of the season. So we're not going to change anything now. So we're just going to focus on getting a little better this week and having a good performance on Sunday.
So is it every game is a cup final? Is that the mentality?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, of course. I mean, you could ask, our captain, Sebastian Guazzati. I mean, I think he screams that 3 or 4 times before we leave the locker room every game.
I love that.
Yeah.
We're talking a lot about that trophy on Sunday. And speaking of that, there seems to be something in the water this year, Zach, in this Tampa Bay region. Yeah. The Lightning won the Stanley Cup. The Rays are in the World Series. We'll know soon how that one's going to pan out. But, I mean, even the Bucks, first in the NFC South. Now you guys, you're making your own play for a title. What's it like to be associated with that Tampa Bay sports landscape at the moment?
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty unbelievable. I think, obviously the Lightning is set kind of the standard for, sports in Tampa Bay. And, for whatever reason, now we have the Rays and the Rowdies and the Bucks, kind of trying to keep up. Again, we're just so grateful to be in the position that we're in. And obviously Tampa Bay sports fans are, definitely getting their money's worth.
And then Zach, heck of a season. Obviously, we wish you guys all the best on Sunday, but it's hard to not mention the fans, Ralph's Mob, the Skyway Casuals that have been with you guys since March, really since July and the return of play and everything. Do you have a message for the fans that have been around all year? And if so, what would that be?
Yeah, for us, just to have them there throughout all of this was incredible. It was, obviously smaller numbers than we're used to, than they're used to this whole season. But even having them there in small numbers and being able to have them there behind us on Championship Sunday, it means the world to us. Playing in front of them, they greet us at the airport when we come back from trips, and they've been doing that forever. They go out of their way to make us, all of these players who come from all over the world to Tampa Bay. They really do an unbelievable job in making it feel like home for them. So we're gonna go out there and like we do every weekend and just play our asses off for them.
Well, I know we get a little bit of an inside scoop being here in Tampa Bay, and we get to see those fans week in and week out and their passion. And I know if we and Scott and I can say anything, it's that we can see that these Tampa Bay Rowdies fans are ready for a championship in that Tampa Bay region. So, Zach, best of luck this weekend. Really appreciate you stopping by and giving us a little bit of preview of what's to come. USL Championship Final, you guys, this Sunday, November 1st on ESPN, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Zach, once again, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, guys.
First ever time on the pod, Zack Steinberger. Appreciate him coming on to chat with us a little bit about this USL Championship Final. And I will say, Scott, Zach made me a believer.
Yeah, 100%. It's the low-key confidence from the Rowdies, right? Like where we saw Darnell very step out definitively and be like, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to get this done. Zach was very much like, we'll see. That's why we're playing the game on Sunday. But, I'm not going to be dumb enough to tell you that Phoenix is going to win on this podcast. So, yeah, definitely appreciate both guys extending part of their week and giving us some time. But both interviews make me rethink my prediction. I'll just say that, and I'll leave it at that.
Both guys setting the scene for a dramatic finale of the USL Championship season. We have one final order of business to go on this episode, though, and that means, Matt Calvo, it's your time to come in for another edition of Shots Fired.
Hello. As we approach the end of our 2020 season and the end of the 2020 calendar year, thankfully, I will say personally, thankfully, to the end of the 2020 calendar So in that vein, the topic for today is something you either looked forward to ending or are looking forward to ending, if it hasn't already ended. So what's the big thing that you're glad to come to see go to or come to an end? Scott Stewart won last week. He has the right of first refusal.
No, I'm good. I'm ready for this one. I came prepared.
He's on fire already.
I am.
Right, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Predictions. Definitively, because I am, and like Kelsey brought it up earlier, like there is a lot of PR Scott that comes out just in the daily life, but I am kind of middle of the road. I am ready for political coverage to end. I am not big on debates. They make me very nervous. One of my friends took a video of me a couple weeks ago with literally my hood over my head and the strings pulled tight during one of the debates because I just don't like this stuff. Like, it's so divisive, and I'm not a big divider guy. Like, I don't like all the tension that comes with stuff like this. So not only am I ready to clear up my junk mail, but political coverage.
So your answer to what you want to end during a debate is a debate? Yes,
literally the whole thing. Shut it down immediately.
So your debate answer of what you want to end is debates.
Yeah, actually, which is just, again, poetic irony, but here we are.
I'm so sick of getting texts and calls, though. Like,
text, calls, junk mail, TV ads. It's every Hulu ad. It's every Prime Video ad.
It's a bold strategy.
I would rather see Target ads at this point, and I love Target, so that's kind of biased, but like.
Guess what's going to show up the next time Scott goes to his Instagram.
Yep.
All right, Kelsey.
Oh, more Target.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
I am very much ready for choreographed TikTok dances to end, and I'm not sure if we're close to it, but I am just ready for it to get out of here. My big anti thing when it comes to TikTok is none of it is organic. Like, there's a lot of similarities with Vine when it comes to TikTok, but the videos you see on Vine just happen to happen. They weren't planned. And I think when you look at a lot of these dances, it's a lot of people who have way too much time on their hands. It's not what I want to see. And I'd like to have a little bit of Vine intertwined.
Oh, both excellent answers. This is a tough one. You made it hard for me for the last one of the season.
I wasn't sure.
Incredible answers.
Both very, very good, very strong answers.
Weird to see like grown adults doing children dances.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird to see grown adults doing what they're doing applies to both of your answers.
Yes.
That's something to think about right there.
I think we're gonna take this shots fired to PKs.
Oh.
Ooh, we're going to extra time.
No, I don't even know what that would be. I should have had like a backup question prepared or something.
I was ready for a follow-up.
I was not, so that makes one of us.
All right. I think just by nature of the fact that Scott chose to end debates as his debate topic, Kelsey wins.
That's fair. I did kind of contradict myself a little bit, but presidents, you know.
I win, and TikTok viewers everywhere win.
Society, like either way, and either of the answers, society wins.
Society wins. All right, I take the dub this episode. So we'll see who's going to join me this weekend. It's a Tampa Bay Rowdies versus Phoenix Rising FC for all of the marbles on ESPN at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss the big show on Sunday night. For Kelsey Steele, Scott Stu, Matt Cavill, we'll see you guys on Sunday.